You're unemployed because you won't move. This is a narrative that is going around a lot, and it has gone around a lot lately. Long gone, unfortunately, are the days where it's very easy to get a remote job and you can just get a job and work anywhere or live anywhere you want to within the USA. So now we're at a point where it's a matter of, if you want a job, you got to be where the jobs are. So this is a conversation and this is a topic that I want to talk about today, and I want to get your input as well. I also have an article to go over in which they kind of discuss what's been going on in 2024 with moves and see if that can tie into our discussion about the fact that people don't have jobs right now because they won't move. And it could be for a lot of different reasons. Maybe you're in one area of a state and you have to move to a different area, or maybe you have to move to the next state over, or maybe you even have to move all the way across the country to find a new job. Just quickly before we go into the article, I mean, my personal experience was graduating in 2007, unfortunately not taking things as seriously as I should have as far as getting more of a full-time permanent job. I graduated with a degree in finance and a degree in real estate. So that first year after college, I was in my hometown and I got a job as a financial advisor. And I didn't do enough research. I mean, it was very salesy. And you have to build up your whole portfolio, your book of business, and it's a mostly commission-based job. But there was a decent amount of base salary. I think it was like $29,000 or something like that, and that was back in 2007. So not too bad at all. Plus the commissions from all the business that you sign and maintain and selling them different financial products. For someone fresh out of college, I mean, we were balling, we were living the life. But that all came crashing down when it came to taking the Series 7 test, which is the test that I needed to take to continue this job. And I didn't study for it like I should have. I mean, later on, I would take certifications and I would pass them in the first take and I would spend the appropriate amount of time studying. But in this situation, I didn't, and I failed the test. And even though it seemed like a family and it seemed like we were all having fun balling out, that was one of the conditions, and I failed, and I no longer had a job there. I think I had a week to close up everything and hit the bricks. So from there, I had to move across the state to where the jobs were, where I could find a brand new job. I got a job. I actually moved over there without one, but it was an area with a lot of different opportunities. I finally landed something, maybe just after a couple of months, much easier than it would be to do the same thing in 2024. And kind of the rest is history. So the article I was referencing earlier is from Move Buddha, and the headline is "Relocating Americans Are Moving Less Stuff Over Shorter Distances as 2024 Election Looms." Now, this article is before the election, but still pretty recent as far as 2024 goes. And let's see what the market looks like for people moving. And really one of the main reasons you're moving is to get a new job. But I will link this article down in the description below so you can read the full thing for yourself. I'm just going to go over the highlights and how it pertains to what we're talking about today. It says, search data from Move Buddha's moving cost calculator shows Americans are exercising more prudence amid economic and political uncertainties. And it says, so far in 2024, relocating Americans are less likely to move cross-country moves or to make cross-country moves with trucks full of belongings than they have been in previous years. Searches made between January to June 2024 in the Move Buddha Moving Cost Calculator show that the average distance for prospective moves this year is 113 miles less than it was in 2020. But it isn't just distances that are shrinking, where 2020 saw a nearly even three-way split between moves with small, medium, and large size hauls. 2024 is seeing significantly higher search volume for small moves. Nearly 39% of prospective movers in the first half of 2024 reported having just a small haul to transport. When it comes to the move size, they categorize a small as just a few items, such as a studio apartment or a small one-bedroom apartment. a medium as 1 to 2 bedrooms, and a large as 3 or more bedrooms. And moving distance, what's the distance between the prospective mover where they currently live and where they're headed? And here's what they found. Small halls are on track to represent the largest proportion of moves for the second year in a row, and by a significant margin at that. So just to take a little break there, so if we're saying a small move is just a studio or a 1-bedroom apartment, that makes sense, because who really out there can afford these large houses anymore? I mean, 2 to 3 bedrooms. I mean, I don't think you're getting that amazing of a job offer that the majority of people are going to be moving in 2024 2 to 3 bedrooms. It makes sense a studio or 1 bedroom because you're just getting whatever you can afford, which is unfortunately not much. So you might be moving from 1 studio in maybe a smaller town to a studio in a bigger town, or you might be unfortunately moving from a 1 bedroom in a small area or in the suburbs to a studio downtown or wherever the jobs are that you're looking for. It says the continued popularity of small moves in 2024 aligns with some of the larger demographic and economic trends that are shaping modern migration. Small households are easier to relocate, and the typical inhabitant of a small studio is a young adult at the start of their career. So we're already starting to tie in to people's career. And yeah, I mean, if you're young and single and you don't have a lot of responsibilities, it's much easier to move. Right? When I was fresh out of college, it was just me. There's no problems. I didn't have to ask anybody. You just pick up and you just move to where you need to. I even moved without having a job lined up, just money and savings, knowing that there was a lot of career options and I would just take whatever I had to take. It says that surveys have shown that Gen Z was the most likely generation to move last year in 2023. Gen Z is also more likely to be renting than older generations and less likely to have a family in tow, 2 factors that make them significantly more mobile. A higher rate of small moves also aligns with a national trend toward downsizing in an effort to live more affordably. Yeah, I mean, it used to be a couple years ago where minimalism was kind of like a trend, like it's cool to, just go on a vacation with a backpack. And some of you are like, what's a vacation? But it also turned into like, let's declutter, let's get rid of some of the things that we don't need. Now it's like, well, I can't afford a big space, so I can only afford so much stuff. And they don't have a lot of surplus spending for additional things in the first place. Now, the storage industry, I think, is still like $1 billion industry in the US. So people are still storing things away in a storage unit. And if you just have a small studio, you might have additional things from when you did downsize just sitting in a storage unit. And that's a lot of money that you shouldn't really have to pay. I know like 3 years ago, my storage unit was like $80, and then it moved up to like, I don't know, like $200 or something like that in the span of 3 years. But if you just have the studio or the 1-bedroom apartment, it's much easier to move that, even if you have more stuff, as long as you have that stuff in the storage unit. So far in 2024, search data shows that the average distance for prospective moves this year is 1,000 miles, about the distance between Chicago and Denver. This represents a 10% decrease in the average moving distance from 2020. On the whole, over 55% of searches this year were for moves with a distance of less than 1,000 miles, paired with a higher number of small hauls. This development towards shorter moves is also bucking a long-standing industry trend. The article says that between soaring home costs, the rise of remote work, don't know about that, and mass layoffs in lucrative fields like tech, know about that one, there are fewer reasons for people to make cross-country moves to ever more expensive cities like New York, LA, San Francisco, Seattle, or Austin. For single Gen Z career starters, the country's most mobile demographic, this confluence of economic factors may mean choosing instead to live in more affordable, less trendy cities closer to their hometowns, or moving back in with family in general. Maybe you moved out to see if you could find a job similar to what I did early in my career, but this is way, way worse. So it's like, all right, couldn't figure it out myself. Got to move back home. At least I'll save on rent and try to find a job there. Indeed, in recent years, mid-sized college towns have proven to offer the ideal mixture of culture, career, and affordability to freshly graduated young adults. High housing costs and mortgage rates are also making long-distance moves less feasible for more established households. Large and medium-sized moves too have decreased in distances since 2020 by 3.5% and 7.2% respectively. Relocating Americans are exercising increased caution this year, opting for smaller moves that are closer to home. Overall, this has been a very slow year for the moving industry, and movers in 2024 are making highly strategic, economically driven relocation decisions in response to current market conditions. This means fewer moves, shorter distances, and lighter hauls. And one of the experts says that he expects that 2025 will see a lot more action. Once we get past the election and when mortgage rates are likely to start dropping, things will start to pick back up again. So please let me know down in the comments what you think about this. Are you someone who has moved in 2024? And if you did move, how would you categorize that move? Is it a small move, a medium move, a large move based off of these factors here? Also, what's the distance? Was it 1,000 miles? Was it across the country? Love to hear your story and what you think about how often and how much people are moving in 2024 and what your thoughts are of all those factors going into 2025. Talk to you later.